Number one mistake that's holding companies back from closing high ticket sales or even in their marketing in general. Today, I'm going to share you that and how you can avoid the same mistake and really open up the doors to more people getting into your programs, buying more of your products, buying more of your services. It's actually a mistake that I frequently suffered from early on in my career and in selling my own services. So I know it firsthand, and it's something that kind of comes intuitively for people, but once you see it, it becomes a lot easier to stop doing it and kind of open up the floodgates to higher profits, higher revenues, and more clients coming in a lot easier. So this is the first time joining one of my lives. I'm Brian Czekanski, and I help companies and business owners uncover those profits that are hiding right under their nose. And one of the ways I do that is really just not only turning some of their webinar and low ticket buyers into high ticket buyers by closing them through my phoneless sales process, but also taking a look at their marketing and just making easy, simple, quick fixes that really change the game for them in terms of resonating with their specific audience and kind of unconsciously or consciously allowing their customers to get to their products and distinguish their projects along the way. So one quick story I want to share that you might have heard before you came to this video is about 10 years ago, I traveled to New Zealand. It was a place that I always wanted to go to for the longest period of time. But the one thing that was really holding me back was the fact that from where I was living at the time, New York City, it took 22 hours on a plane flight to get there. So that 22-hour plane flight was something that just, it was that big obstacle that I couldn't get over. Like, how could I spend an entire day on a plane flight, even if I knew that once I got there, I was going to get the outcome or destination that I really wanted the most? It was just something that I couldn't get over. And it's the reason why I didn't visit New Zealand even earlier. But one thing that came through even before that is I got forced to move to Hong Kong for a short period of time, about 6 months, for business-wise, to work there and to kind of help out in an emergency type of situation. So to get from New York to Hong Kong, I had to travel on a 16-hour flight. Didn't really have any choice. It was the longest flight that I had to travel on by a wide margin. But one of the things that I realized in traveling back and forth, I probably did it 6 or 7 times and going that round trip from New York to Hong Kong, is that sitting on a flight isn't that bad, especially if you can kind of schedule in and get some sleep along the way and watch some movies and do those things. There's a way to kind of manage through that process. And it allowed me kind of open up, like, okay, like once I've done 16 hours a bunch of different times and figured out it's not that big a deal, that 22 hours wasn't that huge of an obstacle. And I was glad that happened because it got me in New Zealand. It got me to this place that I love the most. And it's kind of a vacation and a trip that I'll never forget. And I can't wait to go back, travel that 22 hours again, because I know that destination, that outcome is something that is worth it. In the same way with your clients, in your marketing, it gets down to like, what is the number one mistake that people make is they focus more on what they do, which is, in my analogy, kind of that plane flight, and not enough on that outcome, that end destination that they're talking about. Like in your marketing, you spend a lot of time on, here's all the services we provide, here's all the features, here's all the benefits. Your end customers, your end prospects don't really care about that. They actually don't want your code. Like they don't want, like, this might sound a little bit rude or I don't know what the word for it is, but like, they don't care. They don't really actually care about what you do. They just care about what you can deliver for them in terms of those outcomes. So again, using weight loss as an example, they actually don't want your coaching. They actually don't want that accountability. They just want to be able to lose weight. And to take that a step further, there's always that there's some kind of outcome that they are looking to lose weight for. So it might be a wedding that's coming up. It might be to be able to play with their grandkids. Like for each person, it's a different thing. And really understanding for your specific audience, like what is that outcome beyond the outcome, to really dimensionalize it for them. That really is something we can call out in our marketing, let them know they're in the right place, and then really working backwards in terms of like, giving the bridge on like where they are right now to that outcome, but always kind of putting their focus on that end destination. Again, in my story, it's all about New Zealand, how great New Zealand is and how great it's going to be once you get there, instead of talking about like how luxurious the plane flight's going to be, how many great meals I'm going to get. Like, I don't care about that. I just want to get through that to get to that outcome as quickly as possible. In the same way, your clients want to do the same thing. So I did have one example that came through to kind of just bring this to life for you. So it's one of those companies that I came across that is doing really well, has a really great offer. But as I looked into their marketing, they're kind of falling into the same mistake of really just telling their audience a little bit more about what they do versus the outcomes that they deliver. So just want to share, again, put this mistake into practice in terms of like, if you're doing this right now in your marketing, it's probably holding you back, whether you know it or not, unconsciously or consciously. Like, it's holding back your revenue, it's holding back your profits. And once you, again, get to know your audience a little bit better, once you figure out like what are those specific outcomes they're looking for and call them out in your marketing, it's going to make a huge amount of difference in terms of like, again, the revenue growth, the revenue consistency that you're getting through. You're going to get a lot more people in the door as I go through. And again, as you go through, and if you looked at some of my past videos, I'm always sharing examples of companies doing this right. But I wanted to share an example today of one that's just, brings it to life in terms of what not to do, and one of the key mistakes that brings it to life. So again, this is a company called MyBodyTutor. Again, I know they're doing really well. I know they're growing really fast, but their marketing is one of those things that is kind of holding them back. So you can see here, it's far more than coaching. It's complete mindset, philosophy, and habits transformation. Again, focusing a little bit more on that plane flight, all the things that they deliver, and not as much on the outcome that they bring forward in their customer's life in terms of weight loss and all those end outcomes that I talked about along the way. So again, if you look down the entire page here, what you can see as much as possible, again, go to the site if you want to, mybodytutor.com. What you're going to see is it's really all about them and them as a company and all the features and the benefits. Again, they do have a lot of great testimonials, and obviously they're delivering on their business and all the promises that they have out there. But again, one simple change, it could be even just changing this headline right here, will make a world of difference in terms of how much how many leads or customers are coming through from their Facebook ads and other traffic sources that they're using along the way. As you go down a little bit more, again, a little bit more about, it's all really about like what they do, all about that plane flight. And instead of kind of putting the focus on their audience and doing that. So again, why MyBodyTutor will work for you. Again, all the different things, all the features of their program. Again, there might be a slight mention of some of the outcomes, but again, all the focus is really on them as a company, what they deliver, instead of, we know you as an audience, these are the outcomes that you want the most, and kind of giving them that kind of bridge or that stepping stone to like, here's how we're going to get there. Here's our process for getting there. And again, you can kind of use a lot of the stuff that is in there. So daily accountability is really important. Highly personalized coaching is really important, but you have to put it in the context of, again, that end destination that they're looking for, that end outcome they're talking for. Again, use the example of a woman or a man that wants to just play with their grandkids, get down on the floor. They can't do it right now because they don't have enough energy. They've got knee pain, all those kind of things. We have to speak to those, meet them where they are in terms of their pain points, but also speak to that end outcome. Like, give them a visualization of what that looks like, being able, all of a sudden they don't dread their grandkids coming over anymore. They actually look forward to that, being able to chase them around at the end of the day. They don't feel so tired and exhausted in doing that. It's kind of a life-changing type of experience. So you kind of have to meet your audience where they are, speak to those outcomes, and really bring through, okay, what is that kind of bridge to where they are right now to the outcomes that they want the most, and framing your offer in terms of that, rather than saying like, hey, we've got all these different things, and allowing the audience to kind of connect the dots. The more you ask the audience to connect the dots, the less it's going to help. So again, how it works, here's all the things that they have to do, instead of here's all the outcomes that you're going to see. Here's the progression of results that you're going to see. So again, you have to kind of sit in your audience's shoes and say like, okay, if I was considering my offer, like, what would they want? Like, what would be they obviously have to build up some trust and belief that this is the right offer. You have to kind of give them that visibility, that transformation, and speak to the outcomes that they want the most, Otherwise, they're not going to bring it through. So again, the best part of this is that they are sharing some of those testimonials, and some of that does speak to the specific outcomes and destinations for these people, but it's kind of buried among all the other stuff. Again, go back to the very top here. The most important part of a landing page or a website is this headline, and the headline is all about again, more of that plane flight versus the end destination, in my case, that New Zealand. So keep that in mind. Take a look at your website, take a look at your landing pages, and see, like, are we are we speaking to a specific person here, a specific audience? Are we speaking to the outcomes that they want the most? Do you really even understand what they want the most? And if you don't, then okay, that's a great opportunity to maybe jump on a call with a past client, a past lead, whatever it is, to interact with them and get a sense of, like, okay, like, why do you want to lose weight in this case? Like, what is that end outcome that you're looking for, and how can you speak to that along the way? So again, make sure that you are, in my case, speaking to that end destination, not speaking about the plane flight, what you do. Don't put the focus on you, put the focus on that audience, what they want the most, and then give them that visibility, that progression of outcomes that's going to get them there. That's going to give them a greater sense of, like, when they do buy your product, everybody can work at the same, like, different paces, but you can give them certain checkpoints in terms of, like, okay, I'm making progress here because, again, this lines up with the marketing that brought me through in the first place, and really helps me out. Give them trust, and if they are off some of those markers, that's when you can go back to them and kind of realign their goals, and give them more support and all those kind of things along the way. So again, take a look at your marketing. Again, if you want to let me know in the comments below, happy to kind of take a look at one of your landing pages or headlines or whatever it is, to give you quick suggestions in terms of, like, okay, how can we make this a little bit more destination and audience outcome focused versus less of the focus on me. The more you're talking about yourself, the less your marketing is going to do well. The more you're focusing on what your audience wants the most, the more your marketing is going to do well. It's kind of a simple premise, and it's kind of crazy that certain companies don't do it, but it's the good part is that you can easily fix it by just putting a little bit more focus, taking that customer lens, sitting in their shoes, and speaking to what they want the most, and focusing a lot less on, okay, here's exactly what we do. Would you like to join us? Simple premise, but hopefully it resonated with you. So hit that like button on whatever platform you are watching. If this was helpful, give me a comment below. Again, if you want me to take a look at one of your landing pages or headlines or whatever it is to make it a little bit more audience focused, to see if we can get just a simple split test victory in terms of getting you more customers in the door, certainly willing to do that. And if you're watching on YouTube, hit that subscribe button. And with that, I'll see you on a future live.